Mbeumo.
Sesko with a lovely turn, and he's got the ball away to Bryan Mbeumo. Mbeumo at the strength and in! Bryan Mbeumo does it again for Manchester United.
Sesko.
Flicked on, turned home. Benjamin Sesko in back-to-back games.
Cunha.
Casemiro through to Cunha. Cunha strikes it home. And if you're not going to get a penalty, you might as well score one like that.
Are Manchester United back? They just won their third Premier League game in a row, their best run since early 2024. The 4-2 win over Brighton showed a team playing with confidence and control. Ruben Amorim's side pressed high, they kept the ball well, and looked dangerous every time they attacked. Even when Brighton pulled 2 back, United were still the better side from start to finish. And it was a great sight to see after they beat Liverpool, because in the past we had seen United play well in those bigger games when they were the side counterattacking. But to see them beat a team and beat them as the team on the front foot, that showed a lot of progression in Ruben Amorim's philosophy and this United team in general. For the first time in ages, Old Trafford actually feels positive again. Amorim even said it after the game that the players are playing with more confidence and that there's a different spirit. That's how fickle football is. A few weeks ago, Jamie Carragher was asking Amorim to be sacked.
Nobody believes for 1 minute that Ruben Amorim will be the manager of Manchester United in 3 years.
Everybody thought his days were numbered, and now they look like a team that finally believes in themselves. Casemiro's long-range strike, helped by a lucky deflection, made it 2-0 on the day, but United had earned that good fortune through their energy and their play. Amorim's 3-4-3 system is clearly taking shape. The team is playing more direct, they're defending as a unit, and they look much calmer in tight spots. The front three clicked really nicely. With Mount injured, Sesko started down the middle, with Mbeumo and Cunha on his sides. Now the chemistry between these three is still growing, but you can already see how well their skills fit together.
And then the big thing for United is that Cunha and Mbeumo they're players who I love watching in a red shirt.
Mbeumo offers pace and goal scoring. Sesko gives them height and pace. And then Cunha links everything together with his work rate and creativity. Add in the goalie Senne Lammens, who's actually brought some stability back to the back line. And it's easy to see why fans feel hopeful. Now I'm going to get into detail on each of the new signings because their fingerprints are all over this United transformation. I mean, just having a proper goalie that has hands over the chaotic duo that was Onana and Bayender, that automatically has allowed United to actually be able to win games. Because, you know, it's a lot easier to score when every single shot on target isn't a goal.
By the way, the goalkeeper looks like he's a lot more solid and stable than the other two. I like goalkeepers, to be fair, who've got a composure to them, who've got a relaxed manner. You can see it in Lammens. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I say Lemons and they're going Lammens. But Lammens is someone who looks composed, and that's not easy.
Amorim's tweaks to defend in a 5-4-1 shape out of possession have really helped Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes stay protected, because obviously that was a major criticism of his 3-back system. It's that the double pivot of Bruno and Casemiro didn't have the legs to cover a lot of ground. They were always getting defensively exposed. Amorim, though, has found a way to help these two out. Clearly, they eventually need a box-to-box midfielder or at least someone of that profile to come in, but so far, the Portuguese man has been getting the best out of these two guys. In fact, Gary Neville even called Amorim's performance against Brighton the best he has put on since taking the job.
I think the players really like him and want to do well for him, and I think that's come through in the last week or so. So it's been a really good week for United. Amorim's best week in the job, his most important week in the job, but got to keep going.
It's easy to see why. United look a lot more sharp, more balanced, and more united. Excuse the pun. It's all about small improvements finally adding up. You can see them playing faster. They're playing more direct football. That was actually fully on display against Liverpool. They went long all the time and took advantage of winning the second ball, and as a result, they completely exposed the defending champions. They're no longer overcomplicating things at the back. They get the ball forward very quickly. It's not always booting it long. They do play with intent, but the job is to get into the attacking third as quickly as possible. And that's pretty much always been a part of the United DNA when you look back at their successful years. Under Ferguson, they played wonderful counter-attacking football. Now back then they played in a 4-4-2, but the goal was still the same. They weren't trying to overcomplicate things. They weren't trying to spend a whole lot of time in the build-up. The goal was to get the ball forward and score goals. What's also helped is that the defenders are playing a lot smarter. Luke Shaw sometimes played like Jake Paul, but recently he's been a lot better at the center back position. In fact, it was him pressing up high to win win the ball that led to Casemiro's goal. And with De Ligt, we're finally seeing the guy that many people expected when he was captaining Ajax at such a young age. This guy's had such a weird career. If you go back to 2019, many people thought this guy would be the best center back in the world. I mean, how many 19-year-olds are captaining a side to the Champions League semifinals? Since then, he bounced around to Juventus and Bayern Munich, having good performances, but his PR just wasn't the same. He wasn't talked about as highly. Now at United, though, he's slowly getting back to those levels. In that middle center back spot, it's the best position for him because he can dominate aerial duels, he can put in those crunching tackles. Just look at how tight he was marking Danny Welbeck. Amorim's flexible 3-4-3 system, it's finally starting to click. And like I said, up front, there is growing chemistry. Sesko helped set up both Cunha and Mbeumo's goal. Now, this isn't the MSN front three, but it doesn't have to be. All they have to do is continue playing this clean, connected football that actually works. And I really want to talk about this front three and Lammens because a big reason for United's turnaround is that they finally got it right with their investments. Their summer spending is paying off. Let's start with Sesko. He joined United in the summer from RB Leipzig. He came with big expectations and a reputation as one of Europe's brightest young strikers. It's funny, I think at the time there were actually no rumors of him going to United, and then it all happened very quickly. Amorim called him the perfect fit for his system. Tall, strong, quick. This guy's been hyped up for a very long time, and you're seeing why. Now again, I have to repeat, it's still very early days for him at Old Trafford, but he's already showing why United invested so heavily in him. His hold-up play has been excellent. He's great at using his side to protect the ball, bring others into play, and then making smart runs behind the defenders. Against Man City, for example, he won 9 duels and linked the attack so smoothly. He's a big reason why United can play so direct so quickly, because you can just hoof the ball into him, and 99% of the time, he's gonna win the ball. And that's the thing that stands out about him immediately. It's the aerial dominance. I mean, at 6'5", this guy should be playing center for the Lakers. He's a real presence in the box, both defensively and going forward. He's going to win the majority of headers. So whether it's flicking a ball on or contesting a cross or simply just being there so that he can be a handful for defenders, his physicality adds a new dimension to this team. He's also done a great job of adapting quickly to Amorim's system. The coaches are still easing him in, really focusing on his movement and positioning, but you can see that he's learning how to time his runs better, when to drop deeper, when to be a finisher, and when to be a facilitator. And as he continues to perform more and more, you realize just how much of a unicorn he is. I mean, to be that big but to be fast and still be good technically on the ball, that's a combination that's very rare. And the most important thing is that his ability to run in behind defenses stretches teams and creates more space for the likes of Cunha and Mbeumo, who I'm going to talk about later. When United build their attacks, Sesko is often the focal point. He holds off the defenders and then lays the ball off to whoever's behind him. It can be Cunha, it can be Mbeumo, it can even be Bruno Fernandes. He's very calm under pressure. He doesn't panic when he's surrounded by a bunch of defenders. Even when they're gangbanging him like a Bonnie Blue video, he still holds his own. He shields the ball and then makes a good decision. And that composure is very valuable because he's the linking piece between the midfield and the attack. Now, of course, at 22 years old, he still has so much more room to grow. His ceiling is incredibly high. And of course, not everything about his performances has been perfect. He still needs to prove that he can be a consistent goal scorer. His hold-up play and link-up play can improve tremendously. And of course, his finishing can improve. Because right now he gets into great positions, but he can get better at converting those chances into actual goals. But that's okay that he's not the finished product yet. United knew this when they signed him. But everything about him suggests that he is a player built for the Premier League. United's job now is to keep feeding him, keep building his confidence, and let him do what he does best. When we talk about new signings, we can't ignore Matheus Cunha. He joined United in the summer as well for £62.5 million. He was a major statement signing because United were desperate to fix their scoring problem. After coming off a season where they really struggled badly in front of goal, Amorim turned to Cunha for creativity and goals. The Brazilian arrived with a reputation for spectacular long-range strikes and this fearless attacking play. I mean, United fans knew all about him because he had been dunking on them in the Premier League. Even though it took this guy a little while to get stats, every time I watched him for United, I felt like he was doing something positive. So even when people tried to bring up the 007 jokes, it didn't make any sense to me because every single time he was on the ball, he was doing something positive. Because he's excellent on the ball, but he also has this unlimited work rate. He plays with aggression, like there's a chip on his shoulder as he wants to prove people wrong. So it was really good to see him finally get on the stats sheet, because when I watched this guy at Wolves, you could see that he was confident, he was so good technically, and he was unstoppable. I mean, he was one of the biggest reasons why that team didn't get relegated. So now that he has scored, his goal sets the tone for what United fans can expect. This is a player who's never afraid of trying something bold. He very much fits that United DNA, that DNA that they used to have when they signed new players. Part of it is his work rate. Off the pitch, he's this cheerful and easygoing guy, but once the whistle blows, this guy is a fighter. He presses relentlessly, he drops deep to receive the ball, and he never stops running. You'll see him in midfield 1 minute, and then he'll be in the box in the next. That constant movement makes him a nightmare to mark, and his transition into Amorim's system has been super smooth. Whether he's playing as a left-sided number 10 or up front, he's great wherever he plays. And when he's on the pitch, United look faster and more fluid because of the way he carries the ball and draws defenders out of position. United didn't have someone like this before. Sancho couldn't do it, Garnacho can barely beat his man, Cunha is on another level compared to these guys. And what's funny is he's a fraction of the price. His energy and creativity opens up so much space for the other players, especially Bryan Mbeumo and Sesko. And then on top of carrying the ball well, Cunha has a great understanding of when to pass and when to dribble, and then when to shoot. And that makes him so crucial in United's new attacking setup, because now United have a player who can score and create at a high level. Whether it's shooting from distance or breaking down teams with his dribbling, Cunha will make something happen. And again, United have not had a player who can score out of nowhere for a very long time. And now they have two in Cunha and Mbeumo. And Mbeumo I'll get to later. But these guys just change everything. Because when you have an elite ball carrier like Cunha, it's so much easier to transition from counters. It's so much easier to break down a low block. And then on top of all of this, Cunha's mentality is a very standout trait of his. This is a guy who thrives under pressure, and he actually embraces the challenges of representing a club of Manchester United's size. And that's the type of players the Red Devils used to have. Guys who perform better when the lights were brighter. And this is exactly the type of player that Cunha is. His chemistry with Mbeumo and Sesko is growing, and I don't think we're even near seeing what the best version of the Brazilian looks like. Now we get to Bryan Mbeumo, aka Mighty Mouse from UFC. He was one of United's biggest summer targets in 2025. I mean, the saga was so drawn out, and now you see why they wanted him so bad. After several seasons of consistent goal scoring and creative output at Brentford, United wanted a player who was Premier League proven, and that's why this man has hit the ground running. They didn't want a player like Anthony or Højlund, attackers who needed a long adjustment period. They needed someone who could deliver immediately, and Mbeumo fit that profile perfectly. His signing signaled a shift in strategy, going back to what made United so good back in the Sir Alex Ferguson era. Instead of gambling on potential, United went for reliability, experience, and someone who can actually perform. His 2 goals in the 4-2 win over Brighton were perfect examples of what this guy brings to the team. Great pace, sharp finishing, and just very intelligent positioning. Like I was talking about earlier about Cunha performing in big games, Mbeumo is the same way. This is not a player who collapses when the lights are the brightest. He performs better. And the thing with Mbeumo, just like Cunha, is that his impact goes beyond just scoring. His link-up play with Cunha and Sesko is fantastic. Each of them have a different profile that complements each other. Because with Mbeumo, you get the pace and directness that stretches defenses. He can get him behind, but then he puts the ball into the back of the net. Because, you know, even Adama Traore can get him behind, but he's not going to finish the ball the way Mbeumo does. In that right number 10 role, he has the freedom to run him behind, to drift wide, or even drop deeper. It really depends on what the team needs at the time. And then the other factor, which is very common among the entire front three, is his work rate. Mbeumo brings exactly what Amorim wanted from his forwards. Relentless pressing, constant movement, a commitment to working off the ball. He tracks back, he wins duels. It's the kind of all-action approach that makes him so invaluable. And it's exactly what you expect from a modern forward these days. You can't just be good with the ball. You have to work hard without it. It obviously helps that Mbeumo was already Premier League proven. He knew the league inside out. His qualities are also perfect for this league. He's athletic, but he's also good on the ball. And he has a great strike on that left foot of his. The other thing is he's very tactically flexible. He can also play up front. He can play on the left. He can play on the right. And when you have him on the right and Cunha on the left, it becomes so much easier to counter team because you have 2 players that can both carry the ball. 2 players that can both score and create. Another standout quality is his mentality. This guy plays with hunger and he's a professional. He's a first team player who's never shied away from the hard work. Combine that with the fact that he's delivering on the pitch, and you can see why United are starting to perform much better. Now, of course, he'll need the team around him to keep evolving. He needs to be set up. When you have a runner as good as Mbeumo, you have to find him in behind. you have to find him in the pockets of space. People complain that this wasn't a flashy signing in the summer, but he's given United everything they've lacked for years. A Premier League proven attacker who combines goals, work rate, and versatility. They finally have a winger that can score and actually play with energy. If he keeps up this level of performance, he'll be seen as one of the players who really brought United's attack back to life. Now, while the attack was reinforced this summer, so was the goalkeeper position. When Sene Lammens arrived in September of 2025, it didn't make a ton of noise. Nobody really knew who he was. Stats came out that he was one of the best shot stoppers last season, but everybody looked with cautious optimism. After all, Onana also looked good before he came to United. But now, boy, does this guy deserve his flower. The 23-year-old Belgian arrived as Amorim's plan to finally bring stability to a position that had caused United endless problems. After seasons and seasons of inconsistency and errors from the previous keepers, Lammens' arrival feels like a breath of fresh air. The man got a clean sheet on his debut, and people thought they were looking at Van der Sar regen. That's how much United fans were deprived of a good goalie. Just the fact that he can come out and dominate his box, get crosses without fumbling the ball, that alone made him a great goalie. And now that 2-0 win over Sunderland looks pretty good, considering Sunderland have basically turned into a super team. And it's not just United fans that feel the composure, the back line definitely feels it too. They finally have somebody who's calm and confident in between the sticks. The fact that he stays composed and is ready in 1v1 situations, it means the back line can actually trust the goalie, which changes the way they defend. They can play with more confidence knowing that there's actually someone dependable behind them, and not a goalie who can't even save a Word document. Despite how young he is, 23 is a baby in any position, let alone keeper, Lammens has shown a lot of maturity. I got the same vibe from him when I watched his interview, but I'm even more confident about his maturity after watching him play. He's actually vocal and communicates with the back line, but in a professional way, not the way that Onana was yelling at Maguire when he first arrived at United. Lammens is a great shot stopper. His positioning allows him to make very difficult saves look routine. He's very agile, quick off his line, and he's already pulled off a lot of key stops that have kept United in games. And what's great and what should make United fans very excited is that as good as he's been, there's still so much more room for growth. He's still getting adjusted to the Premier League because it's more physical, it's faster, and it's way more intense than the Belgian league. He's still learning about Amorim's system. His distribution can get better, especially as Amorim wants his team to build from the back, so improving his long passing and comfort under pressure will make him an even better fit for the system. And of course, consistency will be key. United are pushing for Europe, and they need to be performing at the highest level every single week. But based on what he's shown so far, Lammens is more than capable of meeting that challenge. He might actually end up being one of United's most important signings. Imagine we look back and realize all United needed was a stable goalie and they would win games. All that money spent, all these new guys, and they just needed a goalie who didn't have butter for hands. Together, these four major signings tell a clear story about the club's direction. It seems that United are finally building with purpose, investing in players who are young enough to grow, but ready enough to deliver right now. Sesko gives them the kind of striker they've been missing for years. Cunha brings flair and versatility, and Mbeumo offers pace and goals. And of course, Lammens brings security in the back. Each signing fills a specific need. They add not just talent, but balance to the squad. And this could be the spine to the United side that Amorim always wanted. Of course, it's still early. With this club in particular, the emotions change with the win. The players still need time to fully gel, and we have to see where United will be at the end of the season. But for the first time in a long time, the recruitment feels good, and there's actually a lot of optimism around Manchester United. Now, I spoke a little bit about Mbeumo, but his journey to United is actually one of the best stories I've ever seen. To see how he got here from the second division of French football, you have to watch this documentary right here.